Ukrainian MiG-29 fighter aircraft has destroyed Russian infantry positions in Zaporizhia direction of the front line in southeastern Ukraine. Explosions occurred in the position following the attack. American GBU-39 guided bomb was used in the strike. The attack is the latest in the strikes on Russian military positions and facilities in occupied territories of Ukraine and on Russian territory with the use of US-made weapons. Ukraine has also been using French-made bombs on attacks on Russian targets.
A Russian two-star general serving as Deputy Operations Chief of the General Staff has been killed by a car bomb, officials have confirmed. The incident that claimed the life of Lieutenant General Yaroslav Moskalik occurred in the suburban Moscow town of Balashikha. Russia's investigative committee has said the improvised explosive device planted inside the car was packed with metal fragments for additional lethality. The news agency TASS has reported that investigators estimated the yield of the device as the equivalent of 300 grams of TNT. The aftermath of the attack was filmed by witnesses. The footage suggests that the vehicle used in the attack, which was parked next to other cars inside a residential area next to a high-rise apartment block, was burned out following the explosion. Last December, a bombing attack that Russian investigators blamed on Ukrainian special services killed Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov, who served as the commander of the Russian Radiological, Chemical and Biological Defense Forces. He was assassinated alongside an aide as they were coming out of a building in Moscow. The operation reportedly involved an explosive device hidden inside an electric scooter, which was placed next to the entrance and monitored through a camera set up in a parked car, which allowed the perpetrators to time the remote detonation. As of the 31st of December 2024, Ukrainian sources claimed that 21 Russian generals and 1 admiral had been killed during the invasion, while Russian sources have confirmed 10 deaths. Although 7 of the Ukrainian claims were rebutted, the loss of even 2 general officers is rare. After Yaroslav Moskalik, 22 Russian generals have been killed during the invasion. The fog of war has made it difficult to keep track of Russian generals who have been killed. Ukraine's use of effective drones combined with long-range fires has proven deadly for Russian generals and colonels, especially because the Ukrainians have specifically targeted senior Russian officers. At the start of the Ukrainian war, the Russian army lost several senior leaders while trying to conduct offensive-level operations. The deaths of so many Russian general officers at the start of the war also show the stark differences between the Russian and Western concept of senior leaders' responsibilities. The Ukrainians also adapted to the changing battlefield conditions, as evidenced by the fact that 2 Russian generals were killed during Ukraine's counter-offensive. The Putin regime imprisoned a general respected by Russian occupiers at the front, after which a scandal erupted. Z propagandists and war correspondents began to be indignant, writes Agentstvo. A scandal has erupted around the sentence of Ivan Popov. They call it a trial, a custom job, and even mention Prigozhin. General Ivan Popov, sentenced to 5 years in prison and stripped of his rank, became an unexpected trigger for a split in the Z community. He, like Prigozhin, once enjoyed respect at the front. He was known, he was trusted, he was called an honest general who was not afraid to talk about the failures of the command. Now he is in prison, and even the most ardent supporters of the Kremlin could not swallow this. Trial, order, shame. This is what the war correspondents themselves, right military blogger Yuri Podolyaka, could not restrain himself. The custom-made stuff is crawling out of every crack there. According to him, no one touches the real corrupt officials in uniform, and the combat generals are imprisoned as a lesson. The channel Two Majors directly stated that with such decisions, Russia is squandering personnel in the 4th year of the war. Zergulio saw personal revenge in the Popov case, and the channel Alex Parker Returns, associated with the PMC Wagner, expressed it harshly. Whoever saved Putin from shame is either killed or in prison or in exile. The reaction to the verdict shows a deep internal crisis. The propagandists are clearly afraid to speak directly. They do not touch Putin, they do not blame the authorities, but they do not want to remain silent either. Sarcasm, insults, whispers flicker, but behind all this there is fear, because everyone understands. Today Popov was imprisoned, tomorrow any other one of their own. After Prigozhin's mutiny, the authorities concluded that charismatic figures capable of influencing troops are dangerous, especially if they start telling the truth, especially if they receive support. So now, prevention is being carried out ahead of time. The undesirables are being cut out before they start marching. Prigozhin is dead, Surovikin is in exile, Popov is in prison, and this is already a system, not an accident. Popov's trial was the 2nd case against generals in a week. Vadim Shamarin was previously sentenced to 7 years. Another 12 are awaiting their turn. The show Everyone is Equal Before the Law is being played out against the backdrop of failure at the front and an economic downturn. In reality, this is just a demonstration of fear. The Russian authorities are afraid of their army.